guys, it's Kellie. So today I'm going to be talking about my favorite and least favorite books of 2018. Long time no see. Hello my friends, how are you doing? I disappeared for like 6 months. You know how it is. School, second year of college, wild stuff. Am I right? But like every year that I've had this booktube channel, I wanted to talk about my favorite books of the year. This year being 2018. 2018 was a great year life-wise, but not so great year reading-wise. I read about 60 books, 55 books, something like that in the year of 2018, which is definitely not where I wanted to be. And I know it's like quality over quantity, but a bunch of the books I read this year also weren't that great, so I only have about 4 favorite books that really stand out in my mind as a culmination of the greatest books that I personally have read in 2018. Because I read a lot of mediocre books, I also have a lot of not so great books, so that's why I'm including 2 least favorite books of this year, along with some honorable mentions. With that being said, let's get started. First, let's start off with the least favorite books and then honorable mentions, and then we will end on a high note with my favorite books of this year. The first book I have as my least favorite book of this year is mostly because it was very disappointing, and that is Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. I absolutely loved Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda, and this is its second book. It's a companion novel, but I was just disappointed by it. I just didn't like some aspects of Leah's character. I mean, the way she just interacted with certain people and how certain relationships weren't necessarily resolved, and I couldn't see the lineage coming from Simon Versus to this book. I couldn't see where one thing started, another thing ended, etc., etc. I just didn't like this book as much as I wanted to, so that's why it is in my least favorite books of this year. The last book that I'm going to mention in my least favorites, because I don't want to dwell on all the bad things, and that least favorite book is The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness. I just did not like this book. If I had to pick a book that I did not like this year, this is it. I hate talking about books that I don't like because I try to find the good things in each book, but I just didn't feel that. With this book, I couldn't pick a lot of things out that I was like, oh, not that bad, because a lot of this book I was just confused. Maybe I read it too fast, maybe I didn't understand the premises, but I just didn't like it. I can't even explain to you what this book is about, but I just know that it wasn't for me, wasn't my cup of tea, wasn't a big fan of it. It's fine if you are. I'm probably gonna give Patrick Ness books another go, but this book wasn't all too great, and it made me sad. Now on to my honorable mentions for this year. The first book I have on this list is the only manga that I have in this entire video, which makes me sad because I read a lot of manga this year. I just didn't read a lot that personally stood out to me as like for one of my forever favorites. But anyway, that book is The God's Lie by Kaori Ozaki. I love this book because it took me by surprise. I really wasn't expecting what would happen in this book. I talk about this book more in my reviewing mangas and Barnes & Noble video, so if you want to check that out, talk about this book in depth there, but I really enjoyed it. It was tragic but stunning, and just overall has left like an imprint in my heart. Now these next 2 books are books that I loved, but I don't want to put them like in my favorites because I feel like you already know that these are my favorites. They're both Rick Riordan books. First one I have is Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, Ship of the Dead. Final installment in the Magnus Chase trilogy, I believe. Yeah, you already know that I love this book. The next book I have is Trials of Apollo, The Burning Maze. Once again by Rick Riordan. Of course I love this book. I did a whole vlog about me reading this book, so yes, of course, I enjoyed it. Now on to my favorite books of 2018. I have 4 in total, and we will start with number 4 and work our way down to number 1. The first book I have at number 4 for my favorite books of 2018 is Disreputable History of Frankie Landau Banks by E. Lockhart. E. Lockhart is probably unspokenly one of my favorite authors, absolutely. I love her writing, it's so unique, and this book is no exception. I read 2 books of hers prior to reading this one, and I absolutely adored it. It was phenomenal. The writing was so interesting and it kept me hooked the entire time. Not to mention Frankie's character is absolutely so ridiculously unique. I adored her. This book is about a girl named Frankie who attends this prestigious boarding school, and her boyfriend is in this secret society in this boarding school, and it's all male, but Frankie wants in on it. So it's kind of her infiltrating this secret society full of all males, and it's just fantastic. Frankie's badass. It's so incredibly intelligent, and I absolutely loved this book. The next book I have at number 3 is The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. I finally read this book, and I am super excited that I finally have. It became a movie this year. I have yet to see it, but I absolutely loved this book. I totally understand why people rave about this book. You all know what it's about, I am sure. I absolutely adored it. Like, I just can't express enough how much I loved it. I love Star's character. I love the family dynamics. It was just so honest and raw, and I loved it. Coming in at number 2 for my favorite books of 2018 is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I am so ecstatic. I finally got a chance to read this book. So many people love this book, and now I understand why. This book is just basically about a circus. And there are so many magical and mystical, whimsical elements. The romance is beautiful. Everything about this book is absolutely beautiful. It's so well crafted. I adored it. And the last book, coming in at number 1 of my favorite books of 2018, is a book that I just always think about. It kind of took me by surprise of how much I loved it, how much I fell in love with it. And that book is The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by Leslie Walton. This book is beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous, stunning. I just loved it. I love this book. It will probably be one of my favorite books, long-standing. It's hard to explain this book, but there's a lot of magical elements in it. Ava Lavender has wings, and there are a lot of magical elements that play throughout the book, and it follows kind of her family history, but then it does follow Ava herself as she kind of deals with love and loss and their family history of love and loss. I love this book. I think about this book a lot. I just love it a lot. That concludes this video of my favorite and least favorite books of 2018. Hopefully here's to better reading of the quality in 2019. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!